So we're going to ask you just some questions about video editing and maybe podcasting stuff. What originally made you want to enter the video editing career?
I don't know. I always liked editing. I like the creative aspect of it. I like the storytelling aspect of it. I think there's a lot of freedom in it, and it's also kind of fun to take something that's really, really bad and try to fix it and make it better.
So as you said before, you are technically an alumni of FDU. So what was your favorite part being like a film major on this campus?
Our group back in the day was a bunch of misfits and goofballs, and we were, the black sheep of campus, if you will. But we were like our own little gang, like our own little rogue group of weirdos.
You guys like stick together, yeah?
Oh yeah, a lot of us, did a lot of goofy stuff and have fun together, and the collaboration part of it, and the creative aspect of it. Like this program was very fledgling when I was here, and we were shooting on like VHS when we were freshmen, and then DV tape. HD didn't even exist. We didn't have any film cameras at all, and we still figured out a way to make something cool and have fun and just have a good time with it.
So I see that you have a podcast out. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So I have a couple of podcasts. I don't know. I guess it goes back to I loved listening to podcasts, and I felt like I have a lot of similar interests to people that I've listened to podcasts to, and then maybe about 8 years ago or so, I was listening to a show, and I reached out to them and said, hey, can I be a guest on it? And it really sparked my interest. And then one of the hosts of that show, he and I have a similar love for comic books, and he's like, you want to do a podcast with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, what the hell? And we sort of just started rolling with it, and it kind of blew up. We just found out that we have like almost over 80,000 downloads in 3 years of like people listening to me talk all over the world, even as far as Australia, which is cool.
That's crazy. I always had that phase of like, oh, how about me and my friend group start a podcast, and like even then we barely did it for like a month, and we already had like over like 200 listeners. Yeah. So like it's really easy to just start and go with it. What do you think would be the most tedious thing about being an editor, either in anything or podcasting?
The tedious thing is watching the same cut over and over and over again until you find that minutia that you're trying to trim out, whether it's like a pause or a gap of some sort, and trying to streamline that and listen to the same clip over and over again, because you get sick of hearing the same thing over and over.
That's right, yeah. It's really someone who's really patient with it, because the moment you're like, this is boring, your whole like work ethic just leaves.
I also think keyframing can be very tedious and painstaking, because if it's even slightly off, you're like trying to figure out where the issue is to dissect it. It's almost like you have to break things down to like a minimum system. So you go from here's where everything is, here's where it's broken, how do I backtrack to see where I broke it to rebuild it, kind of thing.
Okay. And our last question, what's if you had a piece of advice for anyone who wants to be a video editor or a podcaster, what's the one thing that you would tell them?
I would say one is you're always going to crawl before you can walk. You're going to be given lower level opportunities, especially if you're working for a company, and it's going to take time to build that up to prove that you can do whatever it is you want to do. Also, make a lot of stuff. Just make stuff, even if it's trash or you think it's kind of cheesy. Make it, edit it, post it. Make it, edit it, post it. Try something different. Experiment with different things, and how do I do this? How do I make it do that and make that work? Those would be my advice. And just do it a lot.
Right, a lot of practice. Practice makes perfect. Yeah. All right, well, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time, all right?
Cool.